Insulin may hold an important key in unlocking fat as well as weight loss. And it also helps decrease every chronic disease that we are now suffering with. And this is because we now understand that insulin as well as inflammation are at the root of many of our modern day health complaints as well as weight. And this is great because instead of treating every condition with a different diet or medication, we can attack the underlying cause. Insulin is a nutrient sensor. And what that means is that when you eat almost anything, you are going to get a response from insulin. And insulin will take these nutrients and shuttle them into your cells where they're either used for energy or stored as fat. Now, fat is your body's energy storage system that has helped us to survive when we had to go through periods of time without food. Humans actually, interestingly, have the largest capacity to store fat even when compared to our nearest primates, such as monkeys and stuff. Now, this propensity for storing fat has served us well until now, where 24/7 access to food has made overeating and storing fat a real threat to your health as well as your six-pack. Hi, I'm Bonnie London. Okay, in today's video, I am going to explain to you how you can engage in a little bit of trickery with this primitive nutrient storing system to help you lose weight as well as protect you from disease, all without having to completely give up your favorite foods. The fact is, the only diet plan that really matters is the one that you are able to maintain. And how long are you going to restrict yourself from eating your favorite foods? But luckily, by engaging in a few shifts, such as when you eat or what you eat what with, this can have a dramatic effect on how these foods are broken down to glucose and hence triggering insulin. Well, these are my top suggestions to help not trigger insulin. Number 1 on the hit parade. I love my apple cider vinegar, and here you go right here. And the first suggestion is to try to get some in before the meal. This simple adjustment can help stop the breakdown of complex carbohydrates from being broken down to glucose. And also, it can also encourage, believe it or not, glucose that is consumed to be more of it stored as glycogen, which is how we store glucose in our muscles. So this would be a much better strategy than obviously storing it as fat. But please dilute it, as I suggest, in at least a few ounces of water, and also consider using a straw. If you do not have this available, such as when you're going out to eat, you could add some lemon or regular vinegar, which might not be quite as good, but also can help with the glucose lowering effects. Number 2, eat your vegetables. Having a side salad as an appetizer would work, but also considering eating vegetables on your entree first. But if you're like me, who finds it impossible to not nibble before dinner, maybe have some crudité, like radishes or leftover roasted vegetables handy to munch on at that critical time. Number 3 on the list is now eating your protein, like your fish, beef, chicken, or tofu. Now, finally, you can indulge in some of those starchy carbs like pasta, rice, potatoes, but don't eat them naked. Actually, it is better to add a little bit of, butter, olive oil, because it really changes how these carbohydrates get broken down into glucose, which makes it slower. And then if you actually want a dessert, we really want to try to leave dessert where it was originally intended to be, at the end of the meal. This makes a difference. So in other words, what a lot of people are doing now that I find is they eat dinner, they get settled on front of the TV, and then maybe 9 o'clock at night, they are diving into some ice cream. So now what if we began by making changes by just shifting that ice cream, which I'm not suggesting we have regularly, by the way, but it would be much better if you did it right at the end of the meal when it's less likely to spike glucose. And then finally, after the meal, get up and get moving. Time to walk the dog, check out the new neighborhood where the restaurant is, or unfortunately, if you're like me and you're, doing dishes, cleaning up and making food for the next day. But this is fantastic because what we're trying to do here is kind of prevent those glucose and then insulin spikes. And you're most likely to get spikes after every meal. And when you engage in activity, again, this does not need to be some vigorous workout, but just simply moving, it is going to enable glucose to get into those cells without insulin. So this is really an advantage to doing this as much as you can after meals. Okay, so to summarize my suggestions for today, all of them can work independently to help lower your glucose response after a meal, but certainly the synergy of doing them all together might be even better to help lower the response of glucose and hence lower your ability to store fat and also increasing your appetite. Finally, but it is important to consider that this effect on glucose is not just during the time that you're eating a meal, but sometimes whatever you eat can actually affect you later in the day or the next morning or even lunch. So listen, you can eat your pizza or cake, but consume it in this safer way in context with the other foods, and you are really going to feel a lot better physically, mentally, while you are on your way to either obtaining your goals or maintaining them. If you have found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, share, and tell me how you might use some of my suggestions. I would love to hear from you in the comments. And if you would like to discuss what a personal plan would look like for you, there is a link in the description below to book a no-cost call. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.